Welcome to the Goodbye Good Girl Project's show, Women Doing Business Differently, where we question the rules. We talk to wonderful women and some men even who are embracing heart, who are embracing feminine strengths like empathy and intuition in creating lives and work that are incredible. And I met this amazing woman just a few weeks ago, and we decided we had to talk. I had to bring her to you, and she and I had to get into a conversation that's recorded for you. So here we are. Her name is Radavie Riom, and she calls herself a renegade. I think that's the best title I've ever heard. Hi, I'm a professional renegade. I think that's fantastic. So Radavie, she is in service to spirit, and she's doing this for people who are in business. What an amazing pairing. What an amazing pairing, because as you know, business is seen as this sort of mechanistic thing, and she comes in and goes, I don't think so, and talks to individuals who are struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with. And we're going to talk about all kinds of things, and you will get a better insight into who she serves, what she does. And after we're done talking, I will talk to her and find out where you can contact her if you need her assistance. So Radavie, welcome. So glad you're here.
I thank you so much, Laurie. I'm already enjoying listening to you.
Oh, thank you so much. You were telling me before we started recording that you have a way of seeing under the hood of people, and I love that image. Can you tell everybody what that's about?
Yeah, and I had no idea that this was not natural, because my clients would come to me and they're telling me a story or giving me something, telling me something, and I'm listening, but I'm listening in a zone that they may think I'm not listening to them, but I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing, yet underneath that, there's a knowingness that's happening. And I remember once, many years ago, I had a client who would come to me very regularly, and she came in and she started to tell me this story or this thing, and I'm listening in that way I normally do. And she stopped and she said, there you go again. And then I realized, oh, I'm into another different state. I'm into another different presence. And that's where all the information that I get on my intuition comes from through the conversation.
I do something similar, but it's not the same. I read people's their emotional settings, and I can perceive that and feel that. And so then communication becomes about meeting them where they are, so that, and soothing the way so that we can have an actual conversation.
Yes, beautiful. You know, talking about the emotions, because that's my specialty, by the way. This is how I connect the emotions with the memories. I had to do that for myself, Noy, because can I talk about this story?
Yes, please.
Well, and as a child, and I was very sensitive, and I didn't realize I was a highly sensitive person. Didn't know the word then. And so there was a lot of things that happened to me, and mainly with my mother, that really shut down and had a lot of feelings of wounds and trauma.
Yeah.
So I walked away as I'm growing up, and I'm getting more, using my own ideas, my own free will. I walked away from my childhood. Never talked about it. Not even my children knew anything about my childhood, nor my first husband.
Wow.
So shut off. And so a mystical thing happened to me, where my 10-year-old came and stood right in front of me. I'm not into an altered state. My eyes are wide open. And she's sad, and she's looking directly in my eyes.
Whoa.
And I thought, I don't want to see you. Just literally go away. And she was there for 3 weeks.
Now, were you physically seeing her? Were you seeing like
Yes.
as if she were a person in front of you?
I'm seeing her like, maybe I was seeing her through my third eye, but she was real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely real, like you are real, because I could see how sad she was.
Oh,
And then I knew after 3 weeks that I had to connect her with her. I had no idea how I'm going to do that. So I learned, this is where it comes from. I learned after a while that the emotion, I had the memories. I never forgot the memories because I used to think, if I had a lobotomy, I could just forget all these because I don't want to remember.
yeah.
But it stayed. So I had the memories. I did not disassociate from them. I had the memories. And then I realized I had to bring the emotions to the memories. And that's where I did my self-healing. And oh my God, I went through lots.
Yes.
So I realized that my soul my soul projected that image of my child
Wow.
because it was my soul's contract. My soul's contract was to do exactly what I'm doing today. And it had to be done. I made a promise before I came.
Now, do you help other people find their soul contract, or is that not part of your work?
It's a very good question because I'm getting more and more sensitive, and I have a client in another country, and we've had several sessions, and I felt her soul is ready to move into another step. We've integrated the inner child. We have done all of that. Now her soul is saying, I want to expand more into more of an awakening. And
Yeah.
so I'm not answering your question because I don't do it consciously. Let me say that. I don't do it consciously. However, when people continue to unveil their condition and their past, you are so much more open to your soul's blueprint, because I experienced that too.
Mm.
And you will be able to, many times for people to get that calling. You know what I'm doing now, it's not what I want to do. I'm going somewhere else to do something. I don't know, you may have had that experience.
Oh, throughout my life, I've been journeying into like peeling away the parts that, it's been quite a journey. My question for you is, you had told me that you support people in the business world with issues from childhood conditioning, fear, judgment, anxiety, depression, trouble in relationships. How did your work unfold? How did you suddenly find yourself doing this? And how did your clients find you?
Yeah, my my journey with the divine has been since I was a little girl. And so in spite of my own trauma and wounds and difficulties and judgment and my human ways and my egoic ways, there was this thread, I call it the thread, a golden thread that is in the tapestry of my life, never went away. God, the divine, never ever escaped all the difficulties and all the humanness and my insecurities and my lots I went through. And so as I unveiled, the most natural thing was to move to embrace that part of it. And
I feel it so strongly as you're talking. I'm just really moved. Yeah.
And so embracing that part of me have to go into the type of expression and the service of my soul's contract. So remember I said my soul's contract was to heal the wounds. Yeah. And so they went together. They went together. And so I see the business world, or I meet the business world in a little different way. I help them I help them to clear their anxieties and so they can make more money. Yes, they feel much more secure and safe in their lives.
That is beautiful. I do something that I come from a totally different angle in the business world, which is that transforming leadership through emotion that touches that sort of dismantles the system. And I don't mean that in a threatening way, but that brings people and their emotions forward, puts them in the driver's seat instead of money in the driver's seat. And what happens is then there's more money.
But the thing is, Laurie, when you say that, I really realize we have something deeply in common in the way in which we serve. That is really, really good. I had no idea.
I know, I had no idea either. And I'm like, I'm all in my marketing head. I'm like, oh wow, we should put together a workshop and we should do this.
True, really.
Yeah, and we will.
Yes.
Well, you know, one thing I'm really interested in my work, in any of the work I do, is part of my work is with women leaders, and part of my work is with leadership teams. And women, I've been a feminist since I was 16, and I found out that, you know, there was no equality, and I was like, my head sort of exploded when I was 16. And then I've gone through all of this training and all of this this awareness throughout so many decades about power in communication and systemic inequality and things like this. And so when I became an actor and I started to work with people, with women who felt shame or they felt fear about showing up more, I was able to help them walk outside of that. To do it not by pushing, like you said, not by pushing away who they were or are, not at all, but by sort of like growing it up, by coming into those energies, coming into all of that and saying, is this true? Is this what I think about this? Is it true? Here, let me do something, because you have to have the experience. You can't just talk at me, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, the thing for us women, and one of the reasons I started this show, is that we're taught all the wrong things.
Yes.
Growing up. So I'm curious, all of that to say, I am curious to know what kinds of development you went through as a young woman, and on from there, that has allowed you to become who you are today. What have you stepped through?
First of all, it was about my own self-doubt. I really, my own self-doubt. And of course, as I said, I held everything inside. So I think there was an element of shame why I'm not sharing what I feel, because it's so painful to me. It's like I couldn't let it out. And so sexual molestation was part of it when I was 5. So there's a lot of confusion in the minds of an innocent.
Yes.
That's why I am so passionate about the child, or the traumatized child within people. Very, very passionate, because I remember what it's like, and I know exactly, because I experienced what it's like. You don't have a place to go. You don't have an understanding of what's going on with you. So you're closed down. So I was very insecure, but I had a very strong determination. And that determination was looked at as judged, because my guidance knew when something is no, when I should say no. But because I don't follow the rules and I'm not easily controlled, it didn't really work very well on those who want to control me. So I went into and I really have a natural strong determination. Yeah. And business was a natural for me as I left school. And I started a business with my ex-husband, and I'm the one who really became the leader of that business. That is still going on today. I'm no longer part of it, but it's still going on today. And so business was natural, but I was seeking. Something was not fulfilled in me because I wasn't following my soul's path. And so that is what happened. And through painful relationship, after my separation from my husband, I had this romantic relationship. I was consciously looking for my father because he's the one who would put me on his knee and play. He's the one who touched me and praised me that I'm the only one who could find his slippers. So it made me really special, Lori.
Yeah.
I wasn't special. That's where I was special. So I wanted to meet. But my father had a temper. And he had a temper, and he was a leader, and he was a great cook. This physician I met was exactly like that. So so I fell in love with the idea that, oh my God, this is like my father.
Wow.
So it didn't work, it didn't last. And I was in this deep pain. And that's when the projection of my child came.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's like, okay, now this is the gateway. I think my soul probably said, this is the gateway. Now you're in this space where you have lost all of your, you have surrendered to this deep pain. This is the time we can step in. That's very powerful.
Wow.
So, Lori, I really say that, and I'm humble and grateful about this, that life has been my classroom. You don't gain wisdom from having a PhD. You have a good memory, and you're repeating what someone else taught you. Experience is the most powerful thing. If we can just let go and allow whatever's inside of us to come out and be unveiled. This is where the mastery is through your wisdom. Because everything that I talk about is because of what I've experienced. I know I came into this life for that. So when I say I know, it's nobody can tell me if you can tell me I don't agree with you, and it's fine. I totally accept that. But I've had the experience, and it's real to me. And it has never failed me in supporting other people through my experiences.
I think that is glorious. And it makes me think of the fact that when we have an experience, we are experiencing it in a way that nobody else will ever experience it. And so it is, by its very nature and fabric, descriptive of us. It becomes part of our identity in a way that no book learning can do, no preaching can do, no anything can do. And that is, for me, the very heart of spiritual growth.
Yes. And that's personal growth.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where I come from saying I serve spirit.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Good Lord. And just talking to you, I feel a little bit like I'm like inside me, there's something meditating, that there's a real amazing energy about you.
Oh, well, thank you, Laura. And I'll go a little deeper and say that because of my passion of the tapestry, God has been in the thread in the tapestry of my life. I have never walked, in spite of everything, I have never walked away from that feeling of the divine within. And so I don't see anything outside of like what's going on in the world now, because there's a lot going on.
Yes.
That I put any judgment or any fear to, because I know the important thing is to share my light. That's why I'm here. That's why many of us are here, and we must remember that. My goodness, we have to remember the way
Yeah.
in which we make a difference in this world is the light, love, and I don't know if I should talk about this, but anyway, I followed the awakened teachers, and I got more expanded in my frequency. So I
Yeah.
had an experience of waking up in a plane, in flight. It's just us waking up. What that means waking up to me is that I now know the difference between an egoic state and a divine state. And so what waking up to me means, that part of the identification of what
Mhm.
most of us live by just started to fall away. And so that's what you're seeing in me now, that I am in this state of whatever it is you see, in a state of inner peace. That's what it is.
I just keep saying wow, like every 5 seconds I'm going wow, wow. Um, it's I don't see it so much with you. I feel it.
Yes, yes.
It's sort of like you are the string on the piano, right? That then my string is resonating with. I go, yeah, yeah. Astonishing, astonishing. I love that you're using all that you are in service to the place where most people suffer.
No. I mean, we can't continue for this world, for this planet to change, because it's only our thoughts and ideas that are projected out there.
That's right.
And so when we are in a sense of peace and love, and know that there's a collective consciousness that we are part of, that's the work, that's service in the most divine, devoting way, is to be the light, send the light, because we all are the most powerful beings, and we don't realize it, because that spark is in here. And I had another mystical experience. I've had several, but this one, the little boy came to me. He was like 3 years old, and he had one hand up in the air with a golden key. And he said to me with a yearning, he said, we have we are here to assist the adults, but first they have to take us out of jail. And I
Oh,
know, oh my God. Oh yes, what he was saying, we need to be healed. We are not wounded children. We are not wounded. We are divine spark. And I never heard that word before, but I hear lots of people knew divine spark. And so there was such a yearning. And then I got more information, what they want the world, the humanity to see. And so I was asked, and I'm a good servant, I was asked to write this book. And at first, for 3 years, Laurie, I said, why me? I've never written before. Why me to do that? There's so many people who've written books. And it took me a while to really got to understand this is part of my soul's journey. This is what my soul's agreement. And so I am now in the process of writing that book.
excellent.
Yes. And it goes a long way from, yes.
Well, you don't know this about me, but I wrote a book. One of my teachers is Amachi, the hugging saint. Yes.
Yes, of course.
And I've been with her. I've been blessed, graced, fortunate to been found by her in 1988. So back in the days when there were so few people around her.
Yes. Yeah.
And, but I also, 3 years after I met her, I had a nervous breakdown. And so
Hmm.
the question came up, well, if you've got God, or if, to me, she's completely immersed in that
Oh,
Godness,
absolutely.
right? So if you have God in your life in some way, how come you can still be messed up? How can you still have a nervous breakdown and all of that? And so I wrote, after the next 18 years, I wrote a book called Mother Love, Embracing the Wound, Tempering the Steel. Because
Oh,
it seems
Lori.
to me, yeah, it seems to me that what the divine does, the divine nurtures and heals, but also leaves you to hurt if it is going to temper the steel of who you are, make you into that
That's a
person that you're meant
beautiful,
to be.
and the thing is, Lori, if you didn't have that breakdown, how the heck would you have been able to experience all of that? So
You know,
we look at the soul's journey. I really do a lot because, when I talk about being awakened,
yeah.
is that technically you and I are talking here. We have two different bodies, and we assume we are a person, but really we're not.
Right.
We are our soul. This is our sacred temple, and our soul embodies the sacred temple. And it's through the expression of the blueprint of our soul, our journey, that we express and share who the soul is. So once we move away from the egoic state and sort of start to dismantle the identification, which is what you did,
Mhm.
and then we become more into that divine heart space.
I cannot wait for us to explore what we can do together in business, and I can't wait to get to know you more.
I am having such a delightful time talking with you, Lori.
I'm happy. I could, like, get me my pot of coffee and we'll just sit here for a few hours and just chit chat. But and I would
I'm
like to ask you, when we do, when I do end the show for this thing, if you will stay on with me so we can have a little talk.
I will do that. Definitely
That's
do that.
awesome. Now I would like to ask you one question that's very important to me, which is, we live in a time when the young women, the young people, but I'm focused on young women with this question coming up. They're so far from themselves and they're so far from each other. It's the electronic age, and it's the phones. What kind of guidance or inspiration can you offer to these young women who listen to this, who have a sense that there's something more and I don't know how to start finding it?
That's a beautiful question, because where I would take them is back into where I remember what it was like through my own experiences, and to hold that space. And there's a frequency, Laurie, when we have an inner peace, this is a frequency, and yet that's what you're feeling from me, that we reach out to these people, that opens up that place in them so they could hear it.
Mm.
And I would just, my heart would be, I'm totally open to remind them that they're really not who they think they are. They're not this miserable. But I said, I can't tell you that for you to know that. I want you to experience it for yourself. So it's about unveiling all the past beliefs, unveiling what they told you, unveiling what you felt wasn't right or what was wrong.
it's
And
it's not just the unveiling, though. I think it's also, then what do you do with that information, right?
so it's this going to be like an ongoing program for them? What would we do? We say, look, there's nothing outside. Okay, if you're just going to have one talk, there's nothing outside that is going to bring you permanent happiness. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. It's just the identification that has a need. And that identification, which I call the ego, is only searching for what it has lost. And what it has lost is that connection with the divine. And it will take you into addiction. And addiction comes in many, many different ways.
Yes, it does.
Yes. And so it's about going back inside. Leave out and come in. Open the door inside and take some quiet moments and really, really hold that space for yourself, because you are very important. You have to be your best friend first.
Yes.
So there's a lot about this. We give to a lot of people, we give and we can't receive, and all of that. This is about, so it's coming home to self-love, to when I say self-love, is loving what is here, what is here. And then for a while, at least for me, I'm experienced that what is here is not about a person. It's a consciousness. What is here is a consciousness. It goes beyond looking in the mirror and want to wear the greatest style and to put on the best makeup and all of that. It goes into that nothingness, that spaciousness inside that is consciousness. That's
Well, I'm going to leave this right there, because that is, for me, the core of it all. And it may take us our whole lives or to even get onto the path, but the journey is that tempering of the steel, and it is that coming home you talk about. And there is no other place to go ultimately.
No. But you know what? I think when people are ready, the change will come like that, because things are moving really fast. People need to feel, at least there's someone who can hold my hand. Reach out, reach out. And that's a good word, reach out.
Like that very much. I'm gonna
that just came through. Reach out.
Reach out. Well, I want to thank you from my heart and my spirit sister, for joining me and for sharing your light and your love and your vulnerability and your truth with anybody and everybody who is fortunate enough to watch this and listen to your words. And I'm going to make you available to them in whatever way you let me know. Thank you so much, Laurie. Well, on my website, it's very simple. It's radavie.net. Excellent.
Yeah, and on the front page, I have where I give a 20-minute complimentary. I call it Sacred Conversation. Anybody who says, I'm looking for something, I am so willing to offer. And one of my clients, who has been interviewing me now for her website, and she said, when she had that 20-minute, it wasn't just, she started to go through a healing. Fantastic. I know, because my heart is still not about the amount of money I'm going to get, but how much I can be of service. It's about service. It is. And the money will come to the business people who are listening. Wow. Thank you, Radavie. As our lives unfold, I would love to have you come back, and we'll see who else you're touching and what else is happening in our changing world and our changing spirituality. Yeah. Thank you. Mwah. Thank you so much for having me, Laurie. I so enjoyed my time with you. Oh, and me. With you. Yes.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.